Good afternoon, everybody. Here is a summary of the changes to the REIN forms. I've also included in this email, which has a link to the YouTube website where this video will play, I have a marked up copy of the REIN forms that have been changed. So let's just go through them. Please take the time to read them. And I made a couple of little notes, and make sure you're familiar with them as you're writing these offers or relaying them, the purchase offers, to your sellers. Page 1 of the purchase offer itself, which is PAA 7, paragraph 2 has a lot of changes in the way the deposit is dealt with. It's good changes. I like it a lot now. It enables us to identify how the deposit is being handled or sent. Is it in cash? Is it, well, it doesn't say cash, check, money order, wire, that sort of thing. Didn't have that before. And the more importantly, it says it's like a VAR contract now. It says has paid the deposit or will pay the deposit. So I like that a whole lot. Page 2 of the same form, paragraph 5, has a really good clear up of when we as the office have to deposit make that deposit into escrow. And so that is good. I would read it and be familiar with it. So we're not obligated for 5 business days, business banking days after we get it to make that deposit. So that's good. Page 4 of the same form, there's something new there, and it's kind of important. As it's written, we're doing pretty well, but it has to do with if the owner of the property is foreign born, if they are not a United States citizen, and they are, let's see here, if they're a resident alien with the, within the meaning of this FIRPTA Act, which is the Foreign Investment in Real Estate Property Tax Act, it could have tax implications on the buyer. So if the seller is foreign, the buyer could end up having to withhold and pay these taxes on behalf of the seller. So I know that I don't like that, but it's a reaction to some federal laws that came down. The way this is written, the seller is saying, I am not foreign born, so you'll be okay. All right, but I think we need to have our antennas up. If we hear anything, or start asking extra questions about this, if the person is overseas or something like that, you might need to do a little poking and prodding just to protect your buyers. And if you have a seller who is foreign, we need to take extra steps. So another thing to kind of keep on your radar, if you've got a buyer or a seller in a purchase offer who is foreign, especially if they're the seller, we need to take a few extra precautionary measures. That's paragraph 6D of, I'm sorry, no, that is paragraph 7D of the purchase offer. Okay, onward. Some additions in paragraph 15, which is items to convey. That's not a very big deal, but just note that they added some things in there. Of course, you can always line item things in items to convey. Paragraph 16B did some clarification of locations, and this is in the air coups zone. So if you're selling property in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, or Chesapeake, you've got to pay attention to the air coups. Let's see. Page 11, we are now in paragraph 16 still, and this time section I is pending building or zoning violations. They used to have some check boxes there, and they removed those check boxes. Small clarification. Now we're on to the PICA, the Property Inspection Contingency Addendum. They have added to paragraph 1A, licensed inspectors. So now we must use licensed inspectors. Of course, we wouldn't expect anything different. paragraph 2, they reworded some of the contingency removal stuff. So you got to pay attention to that. You got to be up on that. They broke it down a little bit more, and it's kind of complicated, but it's a good system. So make sure you are up on that. Not a lot has really changed with that particular thing, but they have just clarified it as to what you need to do within those days. On the back, the negotiation period, reworked. Again, read through it, be very comfortable with it, and it's that 5-day period, and you can go back and forth, and then it breaks into that additional day after the 5 days. So you got to be very aware of those time frames. Paragraph C, requested repairs. Again, there's been some condensing and clarification in there. Not really a lot of changes of substance there. Paragraph 3, the release agreement. We're still on the property inspection contingency addendum. The release agreement, again, some minor changes there. Nothing of great substance. It generally just refers back to the changes that were in paragraph 2A. Okay. All right. Now the PICRA itself, the request for repair removal addendum, there was a substantive change. The buyer at the buyer's expense now reserves the right to have the original inspector at the walkthrough. Hey, I want to back up real quick. Back on the PICA, the inspector is licensed, and also any supplemental investigations that may be necessary, they have to be licensed too. So that's kind of important. Can't bring out Uncle Fred to check it out. All right, so back to the PICRA. Buyer at buyer's expense may have the original inspector or firm inspect work for completion. And now on to the release agreement, which is Form PAA6. Certain wording was removed about reimbursing the buyer for appraisal and termite and moisture. It does still exempt, it still does hold intact the brokerage firm's ability to go after commission, which we like that. And but there was some wording in there about reimbursement of the buyer for appraisal and termite, and that wording was removed. So please make sure you read through the lease agreement to become comfortable with that. The CDIF, which is the Consumer Disclosure Information Form, that's a 6-page, I like to call it CYA form that everybody should be having all their clients sign. Either that or the Williamsburg General Disclosure would be a suitable substitute. What was changed in here was toward the end, and it was just some clarification about the survey. Survey is becoming more and more important. More and more people are requesting surveys, so they clarified up the paragraph on that, and that was paragraph 18. All right. Please review those, review the attachment. If you have any questions, I do hope that you will ask me about those. I like these forms a lot, and I hope those changes are well explained to you. And any questions in your mind, please see me. Thanks a lot, guys.